We never intended them to be anything other than a slave. But they began to grow in number and in power, and eventually they fought their way to some freedom. So we became even more cruel, and to keep our black Americans down, we lynched. But yet they rose. So then we used the welfare system, the criminal justice system, to keep them down, to contain them, to destroy them. But yet they rose, and they're rising.
What's up, family? It's Kenyan Beast here, and today we are breaking down into something deep. A white man just came out and said something many of us already knew about it, but we have never said it out loud. And he said that white society, by and large, doesn't truly value black people. And you know what? That just remind me in the Bible or biblical verse of ancient Egypt, where Pharaoh and the Israelites, how they were dwelling. And the white man gave us an example of Pharaoh and Israelites. Now, let's unpack this. This man just said the quiet part out loud. So before we continue reacting on this video, let's watch this clip and then we'll come back here and talk something about it.
Hey friends, and well, let me be honest, probably before this video is over, some of you will consider me as an enemy. But I wanted to share a couple minutes about my thoughts, not only on the tragedies that we have been experiencing over these past months, and especially these last couple of days with the shootings of our black men, but what I'm coming to learn over my 23-year journey of being a white man, living and ministering amongst my black family here in several inner cities of Chicago. And I'm going to speak very black and white because, let's be honest, it's a black and white issue. I want to take you to the book of Exodus, chapter 1, and I wanted to share a little bit of what took place prior to the rise of Moses. When I read that, it talked about that the Pharaoh became concerned and very fearful that the Hebrew slaves were growing in number and in power. So in order to maintain their oppression, he put upon them great labor. He put upon the Hebrew slaves cruelty to keep them down. However, they still grew. And so he brought together some midwives, and he instructed them that when a Hebrew boy was born, kill him. Well, these midwives did not follow, and the Hebrew slaves continued to grow. Eventually, the Pharaoh became so hatred and towards those Hebrew slaves that he made a decree. He put out an order that male baby boy Hebrew slaves were to be killed by casting them into the Nile River. Let's look at America. We brought blacks into this country as slaves. We never intended them to be anything other than a slave. But they began to grow in number and in power, and eventually they fought their way to some freedom. So we became even more cruel, and to keep our black Americans down, we lynched. But yet they rose. So then we used the welfare system, the criminal justice system, to keep them down, to contain them, to destroy them. But yet they rose, and they're rising. Then we built prisons and jails to hold them. Yet they rose. And so now we are doing exactly what the Pharaoh did at the end, sending out a decree, kill them. So until we admit that when we wrote this Constitution that all men are created equal, that we never intended to include our black brothers and sisters, our nation may end up facing exactly what the Egyptians faced when they refused to let God's people go. So I'm going to say this to my white fellow Americans, that the bloodshed that is on its way is not on the hands of our fellow black Americans, but is on our hands. We are the ones that are refusing to let God's people go. We are the ones that are refusing to acknowledge that we do not value our black brothers and sisters as equal individuals or equal Americans as us white men. And to my black brothers and sisters, the racial issues, as I've said, have been there from the very foundation. But why do we see it more? Because there's a shifting. See, us white men have been at the head since the foundation. But we've had a black president. And you know, we've done everything in our power to keep him from really changing things. Now we have another minority rising to the top, a white female. What does that say? Those of us who are white men who have been at the head are now starting to see and fear that we are going to become the tail. And we know what we've done to you. And so now we're fearful that you're going to do to us what we have done to you. But I will say this. I've lived in a black community for 23 years. I've never been treated the way that this country has treated my black Americans. So I call out my white Americans to say we better heed, repent, acknowledge, and change. Because if we don't, I just want to again say this. The bloodshed that we will experience is on our hands, not the hands of our fellow black Americans. I welcome your comments. I welcome your feedback. Hit me up on Facebook or go to my webpage at www.studio2911.org. Again, that's studio2911.org. I don't necessarily know the answer, except for us white Americans need to repent, acknowledge the lies that we have taught, acknowledge our value system of equality. It is not here, and it does not include our black brothers and sisters. And we need to change, and we need to change now. Thanks for your time. Bless you.
White person would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for.
One of the craziest parts about being black, navigating white spaces, is how white people will try to like size you up, and it'll be by way of like seemingly innocuous questions, but Obviously, if you're used to this happening like for a long portion of your life, you can like identify it pretty early. This weekend for New Year's, my a friend of mine who's Hispanic invited me to like hang out with some of his friends. I didn't have anything else going on. I recently moved to Denver. I'm always trying to like make new friends, so I'm like down or whatever. And the thing about me, I've been in sales for 15 years, so if you don't like me, it's a concerted effort. Like, I know I have first interactions down. I can talk to anybody about anything. So if you don't like me, it's usually a concerted effort. Me and my friend walk in. He introduced me to like 4 of his friends. One is a couple. I'm talking to the couple. I had went snowboarding the day before, talking to them about how like, you know, I was stuck in like this little town and I was, you know, there for like 3 hours talking to friends, like yada yada yada. And then when I tell you, out of thin air, after like 10 minutes of this story, he literally out of complete thin air was like, what do you do for a living? And I literally can't stand that question, because it's usually at like times where I was like, okay, what are you trying to like determine how much respect to give me right now? The rest of the night goes on. More friends end up coming into the bar, and I end up talking to another couple. The girl out of the couple is really cool, and her boyfriend is within earshot. And I'm telling her the story of how I met this friend. I was like, yeah, we were admiring each other's cars, da da da. She asked, and mind you, I had been talking to her for probably like a solid 5 to 7 minutes. Her boyfriend was just sitting there silent, never engaged. And I was like, yeah, I have this car, he has that car. And as soon as, and my car is like, if you don't know cars, my car means nothing. My car is just a car. But if you know cars, like I have a car that like people are like, oh shit, it's like that type of car. And once I told her what type of car I have, his head had not talked to me the whole time. And I literally have this screenshot from his head snatching around and like looking me dead in my face, like once I said what kind of car I have. And he then proceeded to like engage me in conversation, and we were talking about that, and I'm like, that was just such a weird interaction, and basically like ignore me the whole time. And then when you find out I have a nice car, then you're interested in having conversation with me. I have a ton of stories like these, but I don't know, it's just a really weird experience to constantly have happen. I literally have another viral video on my page where the same thing just happened earlier this week when I was on the ski. All the time on the ski lift, people are always trying to ask me qualifying questions to low-key like determine how can I afford to be there. And it's like the weirdest thing ever.
Wow. This man just said the quiet part out loud, and he wasn't sugarcoating. He admitted that from politics to economics, from policing to media, the system was never designed to favor black liberation in mind, or was never designed with black liberation. And that's not new to us. It's not new to black people, and a lot of black people knows this. That's historical, that's biblical. Think back to Pharaoh, the example he has just given. Think back to Pharaoh and the Israelites. Pharaoh didn't care about their pain. He saw them as labor, tools, and a threat to his power if they ever got free. And that's how empires think. They use, they control, they dehumanize. And black Americans think that we as Africans, we don't care about them, that we don't know how they have been surviving, or we don't know the struggle they have gone through. But not all of us. Most of us, or some of us, knows the real struggle that you have went through. And we think of ourselves as Africans, for example. If Africans here, we are going through hell, the white man is creating chaos here in Africa, and he doesn't live here. Some of us think, what if we are living with the same man in the same house? What are these people going through? What are black Americans going through? And we understand, you are going through hell. And this white man has said it. And does this sound familiar in today's system, especially in the West? Operates the same way. It profits off black labor, black culture and creativity, while denying black lives full humanity. And they call themselves aliens. There's a video where a white man said they're aliens. The white system is living off the black people back. Let's call black American. The culture, the music culture, everything. Black people are paying huge taxes to service the life of some white people. Even when we rise, they react like Pharaoh, with fear, suppression, and manipulation. That's not paranoia. That's not paranoia. It's a pattern. It's a pattern to continue to put their legacy straight. is a pattern to continue oppressing black people. It's a pattern to avoid or to make sure black people do not climb that ladder. Because this white man has said when black people went to America, we were taken as slaves. And it was that black people should be here as slaves and should remain as slaves. When black people started rising, when black people started fighting for freedom and liberation, and in some way they got that freedom, they started finding ways to suppress this. And this part, many people don't talk about it. We do not admit that as black people, we were taken in the West as slaves, and we were supposed to live as slaves. Each time we try to raise our head, they gong us, go back to the slavery. And that's why we always say we find our own roots where we were humans, where we could live as humans. And like this white brother said, just like the Israelites, we are not staying in Egypt forever. We have to know that. Just like Israelites in the Bible, black people are not staying in America forever. Israelites did not stay in Egypt forever. That system can't hold us down forever. It's not about moving out of America. It's about everything is going to change. And history always shifts. Pharaoh fell, empire fall, the oppressed rise. You know what I'm saying? Empire will fall. The oppressor will fall. And the oppressed will rise. We need to have hope. We need to continue fighting. Salute to this brother who told the truth. But more than that, salute to us, as black people, the one who have been knowing, surviving, resisting, and building. We continue to build in these hard times and hard country. Black Americans, Caribbeans, salute to you. Those black people who are far away from the motherland, salute to you, because you continue surviving, you continue resisting, you continue building, but this will not hold longer. The empire will fall, and we will rise as black people. That's what we need to know. So it's obvious. It's not that we don't know these facts, but most of the white people don't come out and talk about it just openly. They don't. And the belief that white America doesn't value black people is rooted in both historical and ongoing experiences of the system, injustices, and everything that's going on. When you talk about the history of slavery and segregation, we have been talking about this, the legacy of slavery, Jim Crow law, and legally enforced segregation created a long-standing system of dehumanization and exclusion. When you talk about the police brutality that's going on, when you talk about the economic inequality, when you talk about where they seized black people from owning properties, home ownership, and everything. And that's why we have this huge wealth gap between the whites and black people. Black Americans on average has significantly less wealth than white people. Higher unemployment rates. You hear the other day where Donald Trump said that we know you're poor. We know you don't have this. We know you have unemployment rates is down. So they know what's going on. The media representation. Black people are often portrayed negatively in the society with the mainstream media reinforcing harmful stereotypes and etc., etc. And that's why even those people who have never come across black people, like the deep Chinese people and Japanese people, those who have never come, when they see black person, there's a way they carry us, because there's a way media has portrayed us, black people. We need to know these things. We cannot shy away from the truth. And once we embrace the truth, we will start looking for ways to move. Israelites embrace the truth, that the reality that Pharaoh do not like them. They did not force themselves in the Pharaoh land, in the Egyptian land. Yes, some of them, they were holding back, saying that, where are we going? Where are we going? How will we live out there? Where are you taking us, Moses? Just like black people. Some of us are saying, or some of black Americans are saying, we are not leaving America. We are not going anywhere. Where are we going? We do not have enough funds to go and live there. You are not our... But at the end of the day, it will come to pass. We will find the easiest mode to go. It may take time, but at the end of the day, the black people will rise. Black people will conquer. And right now, we have that lack of political power where we have. Though the progress has been made, many black communities still face voter suppression tactics. And when we saw Barack Obama being there, we said he is our own. But no. These are just people who were used, not the real OGs of black people were ganged down. The real fighters of black people were ganged down. The real leaders of black people who were threat to the white were ganged down. But why not Obama? Obama was there, dining the same table. Why was he not ganged down? No, because he was working with the oppressor. He was not our ally. That's what we need to know as black people. Said, we have Kamala Harris. You never voted for this black lady. No. Our real black leaders are never there. They were deleted off because they were a threat to the system. These other leaders we see, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, they ain't a threat to the system. No. They are not a threat to the system. And that's why they are there. That's why they are there. I'm feeling proud of black Americans and Caribbeans and all black people who are far away from the motherland. I'm feeling proud of them because how you continue fighting and you continue believing and you accept everything that's, it's not that easy. And when I see some Africans thinking that it's that easy. No. It's not that easy for black Americans. It's not that easy to be in someone's land and continue thriving. It's not that easy to be in someone's land and you overtake the culture. You conquer the culture. You are the one who is running the culture. Though they take it away from you, but you continue with it, thriving and making it big. That is deep in the heart. Very deep in the heart. And it's high time some white people come out and start appreciating it. Because when things turns, we will say, some of our brothers appreciated. We love them. We love you, white people. Whatever you did to us, in any way, we as black people, with the children of God, we love you because you appreciated. You talked. You condemned. You spoke about it. You stood against racism. You stood against discrimination, police brutality. You stood with us. And when we will be there, we will say, salute you, brethren. Come and sit here. Dine with us because you are a true brother. When we black people needed you the most, you stood out. You said the reality. You told the people. You said racism is bad. You said discrimination is bad. You said Black Lives Matters. You shouted. You went to the street. You believed in black people. And you believe in, we will say, your brother, man, you're part of black people. When this thing of segregation was announced, some white people came online and they said this, when black people are segregated, I will be segregated with them because I love their food. I have black friends. I go to their shops. Where will I go? I go to their hotels. I will stick with them. Let me be segregated with them. Those are white people, some of them who they know what's going on, the reality and everything. I believe it's a matter of time. Black people, it's a matter of time that black people, the empire will go down and we will rise. Rising. Let me say this. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Have you seen this same pattern in your life? Biblically. I have a Bible here, by the way. And I was reading the story of Pharaoh and Israelites. And when I want to connect with this story, I need to go deep down. I need to go back to the books. I need to read. I need to understand my black Americans. I need to connect with you. I don't want you to say that you are just talking of you are in Africa. You don't know what's going on. But when I read, I connect. Now, black Americans went to the street. Caribbeans went to the street fighting for Ibrahim Traore. You do not live in Africa, but because you connected, you know the pain. Drop your comments and your thoughts down there. Hit the like and share button. Share to the people you think they need to hear this message. And make sure you subscribe to Kenyan Beast for real talk on race, power, and the truth they don't want to told. And you can join my membership button down there. Peace out. Have a great week.